Good morning, creatives. On a Tuesday, believe it or not, unbelievable. Check out this date, March 22, 2022. So we have 5 2s. Um, I mean, this is unbelievable. That all these sequence of twos are coming up. Twos are really interesting from a metaphysical perspective. And tarot two means resolution between people, and 222 has a sequence of harmony and working things out and communicating and seeing things for what they really are. And when we look at things, rather than seeing them, and this is really important. Why drawing? Whoa, sorry about that. My God, that's why drawing is so important. Because when you create an artifact, according to Carl Jung, in creative imagination, and you can see my other videos where I cover a little chart here that I have, and then on the ego and all that. But when we trigger a drawing, or we trigger writing, we can write our feelings down, or we play music, or we compose music. I'm trying to get my tripod here together. This is all very practical stuff. No editing, no script. Basically, it's triggered by active imagination. This is a drawing I did today, like I stated the date. And I try to approach creativity, and we're all creative. It doesn't matter if you're peeling a potato, you're baking a cake, or you're drawing, or you're playing an instrument, or you're writing, or you're riding a bicycle. It's all an art form. And I was having a conversation yesterday with a dear friend of mine who's a chef, and I've seen him grow as a chef. I've known him for about 15 years, and he used to own a restaurant, and he was very frustrated as a chef because he was misunderstood. He was constantly being judged. And it was an Italian restaurant in New York, and the guy literally hated the business side of cooking, and he was a chef all his life. He started as a cook. Basically, we were talking about, I send them every day a drawing. I send him one of these drawings, and I also send him a picture of what I cook. Then he sends me a picture of what he cooks, and we are able to create a synergy between something that I elaborate, the artist and the model, the artist and the subject, you and your subject. Doesn't matter if it's male, female, male, female, female. Doesn't matter the genders. What matters is, how do we interlace? How do we interconnect? How do we share? Ideas? How do we talk about passion? Where I send him a picture of a drawing, he sends me a picture of a steak or a picture of a dessert he did. I can taste it. I can smell it, even though I'm not having it. I'm looking at a picture. Why? Because he stimulates through his communication. I know how he cooks, how passionate he is. He stimulates my senses. And this is something that we have been, kind of fading out with all this phone stuff and screen stuff and posting stuff. We forget that we are, every day, we should be evolving with our senses. Right. Our senses. And we should be practicing. How do we develop ourselves to become more elevated within our sensory perception, our sensory awareness, our sense of optics, our sense of smelling? How do we formulate linguistics? How do we learn to express ourselves? So I was having a conversation with him about, it doesn't matter what you do, if you're passionate about it, and you draw. If you're passionate about a relationship you're in, and the relationship collapse, and you step back or you break up, and the person probability factor starts a third party relationship, another relationship, and you're left out in the cold, and you're left out, you're basically discarded because you're no longer part of the relationship you had. Let's call it, let's go back to very practical linguistics here. Model, and artist and model. And we can reverse these role models that we have. I could say me and my partner. I could say me and my friend. The fact is that when relationships, they collapse, if you are a person that's willing to work at it in life through practice, if you're willing to break down the mechanics of a relationship, if you're willing to see, really open your eyes and see the dynamics of the relationship, then you have better chance of okay, I'm going somewhere with this. You have better chance in regulating reality. Okay? Before, I'm sitting next to an air conditioning. There's no need for me to show you what the air conditioning looks like. But the air conditioning has all these different buttons that you can press. And they're very clear. The buttons are very clear. One button says mode. The other button says the speed of the fan speed. The other button says filter. And the other button says timer. The mood that we set as ourselves with others and others and ourselves change. Like the way we calibrate the temperature in a room. If it gets too cold, you go and you put a sweater on and you bring it down. Let's say somebody wants the temperature really cold, so you go put a sweater. If it gets hot, you crank it up. Now, if the person wants it hot and you want it cold, there is a reality of mood that you have to calibrate. You have to tune. You have to come to terms. What's going to be the temperature of the room? What's going to be the temperature? And this is really symbolic. What's going to be the temperature of the relationship? Is the relationship going to be cool? Are you going to have a relationship where it's dry, meaning the emotions are muted, they're muffled? I worked in therapy. I worked in my own introspective interpolation behavior. How do I feel interpolation inside and extrapolation outside? How do I project and how do I balance both? One thing I've learned, today's been a really very weird day with this incredible pencil. I call this the magic pencil. I love it. I've always used this brand. It's Italian brand. I've been using it for many years. It's called Lamy, Lamy. And they're very reliable. Today the pencil started bugging out. The lead was stuck. Then I went and it has to do with the drawing. Because I went in there today with a drawing, more bold, more energetic. I want to communicate. What the fuck's going on? I know there's a breakup. There's no closure. There's no communication. Everything's shut down. obviously, probability factor that there's third parties, maybe more than one. But it doesn't matter if it's romantic, if it's friends, if it's family, if it's a brother, if it's a friend. Once there's intervention, where there's communication here, through analysis, objectively, you have to see, you have to open your eyes and connect with all the range of motions of the relationship. But listen, don't listen to what the person is saying. There's a philosopher in Argentina, it's really interesting, el filósofo León Azulay. He says that when we say stuff, even in therapy, we might be lying. He brings it down to 33% truth and 67% imaginary, fake stuff, illusionary stuff. But when you listen to the motion of sound, it's like when you see the motion of optics. You start to observe through the intrinsic seeing of quantum observation. And the drawing starts like this, very erratic, very loose, very free. And then it starts fine-tuning, like the air conditioning. You start making sure the filter is clear, it's clean. When relationships that go bad, the filter gets murky, gets dirty, gets contaminated, like the filter in an air conditioning. You see my tripod here. She started to give me, she became a shadow of what she was. I no longer had this viewpoint. Her eyes, as you can see in the drawing, they're looking out here. What Martin Heidegger, German philosopher, existentialist, said, we're in Dasein. Dasein, we are in our exterior. Exterior, what I would say the extrapolation, we are exterior, meaning we're out there, we're not in the interior. The connection with the self and the self-portrait, and the artist and the model, is that the model here has literally checked out. She has no interest in posing. She has no interest in revealing. She has no interest in showing. She's hiding. Look at her, this is really interesting how the shoulder and the arm covering the breast here. Yeah, she's always been very proud of her ass. Beautiful, she works a lot in her ass, her buttocks, her jeans, how she looks. A very beautiful person. An older gal. I mean, like I mentioned before, I'm an old fart. But the reality of the fact is that it's not about being an old fart or being an old gal. It's about being. Being energy is not. In quantum mechanics, energy does not age like a banana does, or a cake that you don't eat and it goes bad. Energy is an absolute in the electromagnetic world. Electricity, when you turn on the switch, is an absolute in the electromagnetic world. A nucleus and an atom is an absolute in the atom because it has electrons, it has subatomic particles, and it has orbits within the atom. That's an absolute, or else we couldn't have glass, a wall, we couldn't have a body, we couldn't have a furry animal, we couldn't have a rock. Everything starts with the same particle that created the Big Bang is created in us, called quantum mechanics. It's not bullshit, it's not drugs, it's not being drunk. It's called quantum mechanics. The more we learn to see, open our eyes, calibrate your eyes with your tongue. When you talk, like the air conditioning, what speed, what fan speed are you going to have? I highly recommend that we start slowing things down instead of sprinting to the finish line all the time. Slow down the speed of the fan. Slow down the speed of your tongue. Slow down the speed of how you look at things. Instead of looking at things for 25 seconds, maybe look at them for 2 minutes and a half. If you're really looking at a person, listen. Listen by looking by hearing, looking by connecting, by interlacing the sound of the mouth, the sound of the linguistic, the sound of the phonics, calibrating it with the movement of the eye. Give the person the respect that they deserve. Not shadow banning, gaslighting, turning the back, looking at the phone, always on the phone, always on the phone, always on the phone. On the phone with who? They say most of the people splitting up is because of the fucking phone. Put the phone down. Put the phone down. You know? Every moment that this person had was to go back to the phone. Go back to who? I know she has a lot of options because, you know, she's in the entertainment business. She has a lot of flying monkeys. She's also a narcissist. Took a while to figure that one out. She's a passive. She's very complex. She's not the typical narcissist, the malignant. She's not the grandiose. She's very polished. She's very educated. She's traveled the world. She's at the height of her career. I've known her for many years. I do respect that. I do respect that she can enjoy her finances, even though she's lost a lot of money. I don't know how. She has a lot of codependence. She has a lot of flying monkeys. She has a lot of people that are wannabes, morons, people that want to be, people that they're low-level vibrational beings that want to be somebody that they're not. They want to be understood. They want to, oh, look at me. You're not paying attention of what I wanted to be and what I wanted to do, and look at my script, and look at look at me with my jeans, and look at me how my haircut, and on. That's not looking. That's not seeing. That's pathetic. That's childish. It's silly. It's absurd. We get to a certain point in our lives that we can't be the 8.5 by 11 photograph that we think we are. We've got to be realistic. Got to be realistic. Because when you turn on an air conditioning, why the air conditioning works? Because it's practical, right? It's practical. If you're going to turn on the air conditioning and it starts urinating, or the air conditioning now starts making a noise like a drill in your room, or banging, it doesn't work. If a relationship doesn't have a practical side to the relationship, the practical side of the relationship is very simple. It's trust, it's communication, it's having new material to bring to the relationship. And artists have to have a muse. You got to have new material on a daily basis to get inspired to create. It doesn't matter if it's a potato. It doesn't matter if it's your friend letting you know what he cooked at 5 p.m. and he takes the time to set up the table, to take a picture, and then I do the same. We keep it alive. We bring in new materials. We bring in new recipes. We cannot continue living this fragmented, disconnected existence that we have. Go to a restaurant, you see all these morons on their phones. Put it down, man. Talk to a waitress. Look at the menu. Look at people around you, what they're eating. Ask questions. Hey, excuse me. That looks great. What are you eating? Where is that in the menu? What kind of cake is that? Oh my God. I love cake. What kind of drink is that? Oh, Bloody Mary. Then you say to yourself, oh, I don't like Bloody Mary. But let me give it a try. Maybe the Bloody Mary here is good. It happened to me in New Orleans. My mom loved Bloody Marys. I hated them. A drink that tastes like tomato soup, cold with ice. But man, one day I was open. I was with my partner here, my model here, my muse, my friend, and we were in New Orleans, and she ordered a Bloody Mary, and I had a sip of it. It blew me away. Today, that's my favorite drink. You see what happens when you're able to change the paradigm and be able to overcome the linear limitation of what we think it is. No, I was open. Literally what opened was my eyes when I saw the Bloody Mary. It was red, bright red, one of my favorite colors. I'm a fire sign, blood red. I like red cars, red bikes. I'm doing now painting with a lot of red. And the Bloody Mary was incredible. Art is very important. When we're in pain, that's why artists are the voice, a filmmaker, the voice, a film, an artist, a poet, the voice to those that cannot express themselves through a medium, an artistic medium. So we go to a movie and we might see something that we interconnect with the movie, that the movie resonates. We draw, or we look at an artist that we like and we say, wow, I wonder why that artist did what he did. Was it a sublimation of pain? Was it a sublimation of overcoming, being able to transform himself into the medium, into the art form, into the creativity? Then if it's good enough, or for whatever reason it ends up in a wall, and you look at it, or people look at it and they make something out of it, that's the victory of the creation, because it's communicating. One of the reasons we get into relationships that are soulmate, that are kindred spirit, is because we interconnect at a particle level. We interconnect at an electromagnetic level. We also interconnect at a physical level. Sex is nice. Being caressed is nice. Being loved is beautiful. Loving somebody is a beautiful thing. And then there's all these misunderstandings when something collapses, because the ego kicks in. Here's the ego here. I put an arrow here. If you do work, you do work, you do work, you do work. Every time you do work, you go up. You move forward. You go up. You elevate yourself. It's like being in a building. Do you want to be in the basement where they put the trash and they put all that stuff and the rats are there? No. The idea would be to be on a building that's 29 floors. You know, not everybody can make it to the penthouse, but to be able to be up there so you can see. This is an interesting metaphor. The higher you get, the more you can see. That's why relationships, when they get dispersed and they're conflicting and they're full of emotions that would trigger hatred, The best thing is to elevate yourself. Almost like being in a balloon. You look down. The farther you go up, the more you're dealing with a situation. Get away from it. Put a timer on it, like the air conditioning. Maybe the relationship needs to be, if it's a long-term relationship, maybe it needs to be away for a week, 2 weeks, maybe 2 months. What about 2 years? I have a friend that just married a high school girlfriend, his first girlfriend. You know, they split up 20-something years ago. They just got married. Is it going to work? I don't know. But there was something there unresolved that they had. It was karmic. It was unresolved. They had to get together and resolve the closure or the new beginning. Thank you for watching. Peace out. And remember, look at things. Slow down. Open your eyes. Open your ears. Slow down. Have a Bloody Mary. Have a margarita. Enjoy it. Have a glass of water. Sip it slowly. Slow it down like an air conditioning. Go back to 1. Don't have it always an 8 or 9 or 10. Slow it down. Thank you.